Hello everyone, my name is Xue Hao. My English name is Alex, and now I live in China. I independently invented a new trade method, exchange trade, which will change the operating model of internet platforms and help us find the new growth points for the world economy. In addition, exchange trade can also improve commodity productivity and transaction quality help us delay economic recession and fight economic crises. The creation of exchange trade theory and the production of PPT teaching video are completely by me alone. However, due to my poor English, I did not display the video content directly, and the PPT explanation sound you heard later is done by computer software. There are two problems with my PPT presentation in English. The first problem, the video won't work well by doing this because my English is not good. You might not be able to understand many of my presentation. The second question, doing this will take me a lot of time. Even introducing a issue of extreme trade requires me to spend a lot of time on speaking practice. Doing this caused me to take me more time to complete the video, and you understand the ad screen trade will also be delayed. Given the depending recession right now, I think we are running out of time. I think it will have been a better option to release ad screen trade earlier. So I chose to write the Chinese PPT and speech, then translate them in English with the help of Google Translator, and finally rely on Microsoft's AI voice software to record the English version of Alice Trade explanation video. Because of the theoretical construction of extreme trade, the writing of relay copywriting, the production of PPT, and the recording and editing of videos are all completed by me alone. So if there are some omissions in some tabs, please forgive me. Please don't miss my video because PPT is displayed by AI. And don't choose to close my video because the wrong words and grammar in the video. Because edge screen trade that invent is really important. It will not only help world to delay the economic recession, help many countries fight the economic crisis, but also help the fund hope when your career is not doing well. Now, let's get started with the body content of the X-green trade.
Hello everyone, my name is Xue Hao, and my English name is Alex. Independently invented a method to fight the economic crisis. Alex scoring trade. Please remember the name of this method, because it will be famous all over the world and completely change the world. This video is the 8th in the Alex scoring trade theory series. The prisoner's dilemma in the game of guess the average by looking at item. In the last video, I was trying to figure out the trick to the guess the average by looking at item game. I simulated a 3-player game of guessing the average by looking at the item to discuss what strategies the players would take. Then it was found that the objective score of each of them choosing the item had the highest win rate. So the question is, if the number of people participating in the game increases, is it still the optimal strategy to choose objective score? Let me first draw the conclusion that no matter how many people participate in the game of guess the average by looking at an item, everyone's optimal strategy is to choose the objective score of this item. In this video, I will prove this point. First, let's imagine what happens when a new player joins that guess the average by looking at item game. Player D joins. Now, in addition to player A, player B, and player C in the previous video, player D has also joined the game. The addition of player D brings at least 2 suspense. The first suspense is what strategy player D will choose, and the second suspense is whether player D's strategy will affect the strategies of player A, player B, and player C. Let's discuss the first suspense, what strategy will player D take? When player D enters the game, he will definitely find out the best strategy for himself according to the situation in the game. If player D is a smart and rational person, he will come to the same conclusion as in the previous video after thinking about it. Player A, player B, and player C will all choose the objective score of the item. If player D chooses a high score and a low score, he will become the only loser. At this time, player D has only one choice left and chooses objective score. So what happens if player D doesn't choose objective score and chooses a high score and a low score? If player D can speak in the game and tell players A, B, C that he will choose the high score, and the other players also believe that player D will do the same, then players A, B, C will all increase their ratings. Assuming the objective score is 60 and player D claims to choose 80, the other players will most likely choose 65 in the game. If player D can speak in the game and tell players A, B, C that he will choose a low score, and the other players also believe that player D will do the same, then players A, B, C will all lower their ratings. Assuming the objective score is 60 and player D claims to choose 40, the other players will most likely choose 55 in the game. So we can conclude that if player D can speak in the game, and he can gain the trust of other players, then he can exert influence on the outcome of the game. If player D tells other players that he will choose a high score, then the other players will shift the rating from the objective score to a higher score. If player D tells other players that he will choose a low score, the other players' scores are shifted from objective scores to lower scores. But in the actual guess the average by looking at item game, this phenomenon does not happen. Because according to the rules of the game, players are not allowed to communicate in advance, so it is impossible to allow player D to speak. This also means that no matter what action player D will take in the game, it will not be known in advance by other players, and it is impossible to affect the strategies of other players. In such a case, due to the existence of the prisoner's dilemma, player A, player B, and player C will not change their strategies because of the addition of player D, and will still insist on choosing the objective score. As for the newly added player D, he will realize that players A, B, and C must choose to give objective scores at this time, so if he still wants to win, he can only choose to give objective scores this strategy. Prisoner's Dilemma, quoted from Wikipedia. At this point you may ask, what is the prisoner's dilemma? If you have studied economics, you probably know about the prisoner's dilemma. If you haven't studied economics, you may have heard of the prisoner's dilemma. But in order to take care of viewers who don't know what the prisoner's dilemma is, I decided to take a moment to introduce it. After all, this principle is one of the core of Alex's scoring trade. The following is quoted from Wikipedia, where I must thank Wikipedia for its contribution to knowledge dissemination. 1950, Merrill Flood and Meldon Drahill of the Rand Corporation formulated the theory of the related dilemma, which was later elaborated in prisoner fashion by consultant Albert Tucker and named Prisoner's Dilemma. The classic prisoner's dilemma is as follows: the police arrest two suspects, A and B, but there is insufficient evidence to charge them with guilt. So the police detained the suspects separately, met with the two separately, and offered them the same options as follows. 1. If a person pleads guilty and testifies against the other party, the related term is called betrayal of the other party, and the other party remains silent, the person will be released immediately, and the silent person will be sentenced to 10 years in prison. 2. If both remain silent, the related term is called cooperation with each other, they will also be sentenced to 6 months in prison. 3. If both of them report each other, betrayal, both of them will be sentenced to 5 years in prison. The table is outlined as follows. Like other examples of game theory, the prisoner's dilemma assumes that each player, the prisoner, is self-interested, that is, each seeks to maximize his own interests, regardless of the interests of the other player. If a player's income benefit from a certain strategy is lower than other strategies in any case, this strategy is called strict disadvantage, and rational players will never choose. In addition, there is no other force interfering with individual decision-making, and participants can choose strategies entirely on their own terms. Which strategy should a prisoner choose to minimize his personal sentence? The two prisoners do not know the other's choice because of the isolation and confinement, and even if they can talk, they may not be able to believe that the other party will not respond. As far as an individual's rational choice is concerned, reporting a betrayal to the other party will earn a prison term, which is always lower than being silent. Imagine how two rational prisoners would make a choice in a dilemma. If the other party is silent, my betrayal will free me, so I choose to betray. If the other party accuses me of betrayal, I will also accuse the other party in order to get a lower sentence, so I will also choose to betray. The two face the same situation, so their rational thinking will come to the same conclusion: choose to betray. Betrayal is the dominant strategy of the two strategies. Therefore, the only possible Nash equilibrium in this game is when both players betray each other, and both of them serve 5 years in prison. The Nash equilibrium of this game is obviously not a Pareto optimal solution considering the interests of the group. In the interest of the whole, if both participants cooperate and keep silent, both will only be sentenced to half a year in prison. The overall interest is higher, and the result is better than the situation where the two betray each other and sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, according to the above assumptions, both of them are rational individuals and only pursue their own personal interests. The equilibrium situation will be that both prisoners choose to betray. As a result, both prisoners are sentenced to a higher rate than cooperation, and the overall interest is lower than that of cooperation. This is where the dilemma lies. The example effectively proves that in non-zero-sum games, Pareto optimality and Nash equilibrium are in conflict with each other. Coincidentally, in the game Guess the Average by Looking at Item, all players are also in the prisoner's dilemma. If player A, player B, player C can cooperate, they can cooperate and write an identical score together, as long as they do not betray each other, so that they can win by any score. But the rules of the game restrict their actions. The rules neither allow them to discuss nor cooperate. Just like the prison guards in the prisoner's dilemma restrict the prisoners, they detain the prisoners separately and interrogate them separately, and do not allow discussion and cooperation among the prisoners. Since the situation is exactly the same, we can be sure that the three players who guess the average by looking at item will follow the same strategy as the two prisoners in the prisoner's dilemma. In the prisoner's dilemma, two prisoners will choose to betray their companions and explain the truth of the crime. Although this is not their only choice, it is the most correct choice in this situation. In the game of Guess the Average by Looking at Item, the three players will definitely not cooperate, but choose to describe the target item with the most objective score. Although this is not their only choice, it is the most correct choice. And if more players participate in the Guess the Average by Looking at Item, the prisoner's dilemma is still valid. No matter how many players are involved in the game, all players are still in the prisoner's dilemma at the same time. In the game of Guess the Average by Looking at Item, the effect of the player who chooses a high score on the score will be offset by the player who chooses a low score. At this time, both the player who chooses a high score and the player who chooses a low score are losers. But the player who chooses the objective score will be the winner. Similarly, the effect of the player who chooses the low score on the score will be offset by the player who chooses the high score. At this time, the player who chooses the low score and the player who chooses the high score are still losers, and the player who chooses the objective score is still the winner. For example, assuming that the objective score of a pair of sneakers is around 60, if a player chooses a high score of 80, then there may be a player who chooses a low score of 40 to offset his impact on the average score. If a player chooses a low score 40 points, then there may be a player who chooses a high score of 80 points to offset his impact on the average score. In both cases, the results were favorable for the player who chose the objective score of 60 and unfavorable for the player who chose the high score of 80 and the low score of 40. If the player who chooses a high score and the player who chooses a low score want to win in the game of Guess the Average by Looking at Item, they must reach cooperation with other players through communication, and they must maintain absolute trust all the time. However, since all players are in an actual prisoner's dilemma, the rules of the game limit communication between players, making it difficult for them to cooperate. Even if players agree to cooperate, it is difficult for players to maintain absolute trust in their companions. In the game, it is impossible to guarantee that every player participating in the cooperation will fulfill the agreement and jointly choose the same score in the game. At this time, their optimal strategy is still to select the objective score according to the real situation of the item. We still use the previous example of sneakers. Its objective score is around 60 points. At this time, if player A wants to win with a high score, he must cooperate with most players. By agreement, they will choose together in the game. A high score. Let's simulate this process, and now assume that there are 5 players participating in the game, namely player A, player B, player C, player D. Player A finds player B and player C. The 3 of them agree to cheat in the game. According to the agreement, they will all give this pair of sneakers 80 points. If the plan goes well, the 3 of them will win together. The final. Since player D and player E did not cheat, their ratings should be around 60 points, and they are farther away from the average than players A, B, and C, players A, B, and C1. But such a situation is difficult to happen in practice. Considering the restrictions on communication in the game, players A, B, and C cannot achieve cooperation at all. Even if A, B, and C cooperate, they can easily betray the agreement. Let's imagine what interesting things would happen if one of players A, B, and C chose to betray the contract. Suppose player C chooses to betray the agreement, then he will choose the score between the agreed score and the objective score, such as 70 points. The score results are as follows. We can find that after player C chooses to betray the agreement, player C becomes the only winner, and everyone else becomes the loser. So what happens if 2 players betray? We assume that both player B and player C choose to betray, and the results are as follows. We found that when players B and C chose to betray the agreement at the same time, they both became winners and the other players became losers. It seems that for cheating players, as long as they betray the agreement, they can ensure their own victory, while players who do not betray will lose the game because of the betrayal of their teammates. So let's see what happens if all players choose to betray. When everyone chooses to betray, some players' strategies also change. For example, player A chooses the score of 65. The reason is very simple. He thinks that player B and player C are no longer trustworthy, so he will betray according to his partner. Decision adopted a corresponding strategy and chose a number closer to the objective score. In the end, he won and everyone else lost. The reason why players A, B, and C all choose to betray is because betrayal is their optimal strategy, and betrayal will not allow them to win the game, but if they choose not to betray, then as long as one partner chooses to betray, choose not to betray people will lose. So for players A, B, and C trying to cheat together, betrayal is their best option. So what happens when A, B, and C cooperate and realize that? When players A, B, C all realize that they are bound to betray each other, they will stop cheating and reselect objective scores. Why is this the result? The principle is simple. When all cheaters choose to betray, their optimal score must be between the 2 partners' scores and the objective score. For example, when players A and B do not betray and give 80 points, C chooses 70 points between the objective score of 60 and 80 points, and finally becomes the only winner. When player A realizes that B and C will choose to betray, and he thinks that players B and C will think that other cooperators will not betray, player A can know that the score of player B and player C will both be 70 points, so he gives 65 points forward-looking and becomes the only winner. And when player A, player B, and player C realize that they all know that everyone will betray each other, then their optimal solution is closer to the objective score than the cheating partner's score, and finally their optimal strategy only objective scores. This phenomenon is very similar to another classic 2/3 game of guessing the average. The answer to that game is that all rational people will choose 0. Interested audiences can study it. So the conclusion is that no matter how many players participate in the game of guess the average by looking at item, even if some players are allowed to communicate and cheat, the optimal strategy for each player is still to give objective scores. As usual, I will summarize the content of this issue before the end. In the last video, I discussed the strategy of the 3-player guess the average by looking at item game, and came to the conclusion that choosing an objective score was a better choice. In this video, I first joined player D, and found that player D was caught in the prisoner's dilemma in the game. If he chooses a high score or a low score, his winning rate will decrease. Then player D will also choose an objective score in the end. When more players are added, all players in the game guess the average by looking at item are stuck in a prisoner's dilemma. The effect of choosing a high scorer on the score is offset by the player who chooses a low score, and the effect of choosing a low scorer on the score is cancelled by the player who chooses a high score. In both cases, the winner is always the player who chooses the objective score, the loser is always the player who chooses the high score and the player who chooses the low score. If the player who chooses the high score and the player who chooses the low score wants to win, he must cooperate with the majority of players, and choose a high score or a low score together on the basis of absolute trust. It is impossible under the constraints of the game rules of average. Even if most players cheat, they will enter another prisoner's dilemma, and eventually they will betray the agreement, and the objective score is still their optimal strategy. So what would happen if you applied the game guess the average by looking at item to practice? Remember that teaser I did in the second video? Suppose a bakery owner watched my first video and thought the game guess the average by looking at item was interesting, so he made a decision. He told everyone who came to the store to buy chocolate bread that the bakery decided to play a little game with customers who bought chocolate bread. The content of the game is, after each customer buys chocolate bread, they can choose a number for the chocolate bread between 0 and 100, and this number will be used as a score for the chocolate bread. The bakery will collect the numbers of all customers and calculate the average. The customer whose score is closest to the average score get a $100 reward. If the averages obtained by this game can reflect the popularity of bread, can we use this method to conduct after-sales survey on products? Welcome to my next video, part 2 of the Alex scoring trade, the Alex scoring survey. This concludes the content of this video. If you realize the value of Alex scoring trade after watching my video, please also forward my video to those who need it, whether they are your relatives, friends, classmates, or strangers you don't know. They may be suffering from economic recession at this time, and the Alex scoring trade can help them. See you in the next video.